for my speech class, I have to go to the message board and post a video on YouTube. So there's the speech that Luke Radowski did when I went to Bilderberg, and so I'm thinking of posting this speech. So I want to play that for you, and then if I have time, I'm painting my nails too. So if I have time, I'm going to show some more Ferguson. I'm gonna see if I get a text. No texts yet. Okay. Alright, so let's watch this Luke Radowski speech, and then we can watch some videos from Ferguson. And I already posted most of the ones from Ferguson. Actually, all of them. So you might have already seen those, but you might not have seen this one. Alright.
Been a public journalist for, I don't know, maybe.
And the question is, post the speech and let us know about the introduction. Do you think they did a good job introducing? And okay.
Close to 10 years. We have changed channel, and I've been following him for 5, 6 years, and he has been educating me. I hope he has been educating you also. So, but here he is, walking away. With
I don't want to educate you about anything because I don't want to educate anybody about anything. I just want you to question things. Now, thank you so much for coming out here. It's an honor and pleasure, but I really didn't want to speak, and me and Dan were supposed to think of a way to get out of the speaking engagement, but Dan obviously flaked, and now we're here, so that's okay. The reason we're doing that is because it shouldn't be about me, it shouldn't be about an individual, it shouldn't be about a group, it shouldn't be about one single soul, it should be about everybody. So that's why I kind of really don't like public speaking. But if there is something to say, the one thing I will say is that what's happening here is that about 100 people from all over the world, very powerful individuals, very unique people, came here. And they are here to meet and talk about very important things. And one thing you have to understand is that those people are you. Yeah. Yes. What they're doing over there is what they've been doing for since the beginning of time. Yes, they've been doing this forever. Rich people and powerful people and people of influence have always come together, plotted, manipulated us, made a joke out of us, poisoned us, led us to war, divided and conquered us, and really just used us to, on our emotions, and used fear to control us. Now, and I say fear because this is the only thing these guys have. If you look behind you, and if you look at the show that they have, it's a show of insecurity. It shows you how afraid they are of you. Those snipers, those helicopters, those military boats, it's just a sign of how weak and pathetic they really are. And we as individuals, something I've been trying to do at We Are Change is show people that we as human beings, we as individuals, have just as much power and authority as they do. Yes. With more. Oh, yeah. More. Even more, yeah, there you go, that's even better. But
We have a sleeping giant.
If we do anything here today, I hope we don't just stand around. I hope we don't just film each other. I hope we don't just talk to each other. What I hope we do is that we come together and try to help each other out. And try to communicate and network and build and grow and really come together as one group of people here who are able to get away from the manipulation, get away from the propaganda, get away from the fear, and instead of just resisting what they're doing, creating a solution that will benefit all of us here together today. Now, with that said, after all the speeches are done and there's free time and there's nothing crazy going on, I want to have a little workshop with people here who want to be citizen journalists. I myself am a citizen journalist. I've been doing this for over 11 years now. So I've learned a lot from my mistakes. And I can help you guys, and I can teach you guys individually that can help benefit each other. Use it, teach it. So I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to talk to you all, amazing, beautiful individuals. And that's going to be happening after all the talks here. But if I could leave you with one more thing, what can I leave you with? Hold on. Think of something off the top of my head. I hate speeches. I just usually just ramble off the top of my head. Usually sometimes it comes up good, sometimes it comes up bad, but it doesn't matter. But we have to understand the only solution to the problems that we're facing right now, the solution is not within anybody. It's within everybody, and it's within yourself. You have the power to create anything, just like these individuals are manipulating different things. We can expose them for what they're doing, shed a light on it, but most importantly, get away from it and build an alternative solution, answer to all the problems that we're facing. And everything that we're going through, we're allowing to happen. Once the moment happens, when we all realize this, they will fall, and they will crumble, and they will have nothing. Because ultimately, we have everything we need to change this world for the better. Thank you.
Well, I was in the audience there somewhere. Not exactly sure where, but I was. That was pretty good in speech. It kind of lost its momentum there in the middle, but it started off really bad. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that the opening of the speech was awful. But I think it'll be a good speech for the rest of my class. Oh, you know what I spaced doing? I spaced turning off the microphone, so you probably couldn't hear that very well. Alright, I won't do that for the next one. Okay, now this next one I haven't seen yet. I told you that an activist journalist that I knew online was came here to St. Louis to see some of what's happening in Ferguson. And this is a video from the first day that we were down there. Let me turn off my mic.
Despite the media choosing to focus on the looting, the rioting, the conflicts between the protesters and the police, I saw many examples of a community mourning and coming together, seeking solutions. I saw people handing out free food and free water bottles, picking up the trash around the city, and collectively trying to figure out how they could come to solutions. One of the people I spoke to was Elizabeth Vega, who was working on an art project for the community. So tell us about the project you have happening.
This is called Holding Healing Spaces, and basically, even though I was teaching kids last week how to cope with tear gas and writing the jail support number on their pants, primarily what I am is a community artist. I teach poetry and story and writing, and so this is sort of an outcrop of that. Sometimes, like when you're yelling and screaming, like you just don't have any words left, and there's a way to express that is beyond that and can often go deeper, and so that's what this is. It's called called Holding Healing Spaces. We're giving people an opportunity to voice what they're feeling, but also place it within the collective, and so that it's more of a permanent kind of display. People can see what other people are thinking and feeling, but also honor their own voice. And then we're also doing prayers, poems, and affirmations for people, either drawings or an actual writing. So that involves like interviewing people very briefly and then writing a poem in their voice and presenting it to them as a way of honoring them and their experience. It's a great collaboration. And then over here, we're going to have milagros, where Sarah's got all these like great little kind of like milagros, but they're plastic. And so we're going to allow the kids to be able to like make jewelry, and we have the chalk, because one of the things that we've seen is that the kids here are really kind of struggling and want something to process. They're kind of getting lost a little bit in the shuffle. So
people can come make their own art here?
Basically, yeah. I mean, they can add it to the wall. They can, you know, whatever they want to do. We're trying to just, basically that's why it's called Holding Healing Spaces, because it's like we're just holding the space and providing the materials and the people to like do it, and knowing that people will do the work that they need to do.
Awesome.
I'm filming right there. That's me filming. Alright. I know it's stupid to mention. Okay, wait. Let me turn off mic again. Wait. Okay, that was a good video. I'm putting my makeup on. Probably gonna be leaving here pretty soon. Let's see, there's one more that I haven't seen yet. And that was, even though I posted it, I didn't actually see this one.
Yeah. First of all, my name is Ray Lewis. I'm a retired Philadelphia police captain. My sign is about, we want the truth. We don't want any cover-up. And the way the police chief is handling this investigation, it looks like 100% cover-up. He did not come out with any information about the officer or the shooting for 6 days. What does that tell you? That means they had 6 days to scheme about how they were going to present this case. And there was no transparency, and that's an insult to the community, the fact that it took 6 days. And then after he did come out with the name of the officer, what's he do? He also...
Okay, there you go. I believe I posted on the, when I talked about it, there was that woman. She was just wearing a regular old t-shirt, and she started threatening people with arrest for interviewing him. She was like, the media will not interview him. You could hear it in the background. Maybe I'll play it again. She's like, the media will not interview him. Anyone who interviews him is going to be arrested. She wasn't saying that to me and Derek. She was saying that to a couple of other people who had like a more professional looking camera. I guess she didn't realize the power of the uh, independent media, because independent media gets just as much, many, if not more, views than a lot of mainstream media websites. I don't know how many Ben Swan gets, but I'm assuming he gets quite a bit. All right, so I'm gonna rewind it so you can hear that again. Listen really closely.
About how they were going to present this case, and there was no transparency, and that's an insult to the community, the fact that it took 6 days. And then after he did come out with the name of the officer, what's he do? He also comes out with information that Michael Brown stole Swisher cigars. Like that's a reason that he could be killed. That was atrocious that you would even put that out. He could have stole a Rolls Royce, and that does not give you permission to kill the individual.
Absolutely. So how do you think the community is going to continue to respond to this? I've been asking, the community members out here all day if this is a regular activity, how the police react to them, and what their thoughts are, how the situation could escalate if no charges are filed against Darren Brown.
The situation will definitely escalate. This will be ugly. It's with the grand jury now. The grand jury, I'm sure, will not want to take the responsibility of making a decision that he's innocent. The grand jury is going to let a trial, 12 jurors decide that and take the heat on the decision if, in fact, they find him not guilty. That's always a possibility. I doubt that very strongly that that's going to happen here. There's the evidence I've seen. But it could happen, and if it does happen, they better come out with a lot of good information that's reliable and credible to this community as to why the officer was justified in killing Michael Brown. If they don't come out with evidence that the officer was good justifiable evidence, I'm not going to be here when this breaks out. That's going to be a war zone.
What are your thoughts on, some people say this is a systemic issue within the police force itself, not only violence and murder on young black men, but just, men, women, dogs all across the country. What are your thoughts on that?
There's always been police brutality. Just it's being recorded now, and it's being shown to the public. Not the camera you have, but everybody has a camera with a cell phone. So you are seeing so much more police brutality due to those cell phones, but it's always been there.
What about the militarization of the police that has been documented as growing over the past 5 years? Federal funding.
Just today, I read where the federal government is going to look into that, and they're going to decide whether or not they should continue giving police forces this military equipment. I'm dead set against it. Nowhere has there been a riot or any type of situation where you needed that equipment to justify it. You don't need. Officers now are armed with very strong handguns, very powerful. I know in Philadelphia we went from a Smith & Wesson 38 to a Glock 9mm. An extremely powerful weapon. One bullet out of there is going to knock you down and kill you if it's in the right place, of course. But they have their bulletproof vests. They have their helmets. You don't need these machine guns and all this other stuff. And the way they handled it with tear gas and smoke bombs, they just created chaos. Mm-hmm. All right, that was just pure chaos. If you want to disperse a crowd, there's a tactic that has been practiced and proven to work much better than just randomly and sporadically shooting tear gas and smoke bombs. You get a dozen officers all in line. You're going to need a lot of officers for this, by the way, but they had a lot of officers. They had officers from every county around them. You got a dozen officers, all with their sticks. They're right close together. Behind them are 3 other officers that are called arresting officers. Behind them is a paddy wagon for any prisoners. You have this setup of a dozen officers in as many locations as you need to disperse the crowd. And this is going to sound inappropriate, but really it works. You disperse them back into the neighborhoods. Once they get them back into the neighborhoods, they're not going to be doing any damage. It's along the business strips that they do the damage. They want the liquor, the cigarettes, the convenience store items, maybe jewelry stores. You push them back into the neighborhoods, they're dispersed. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to try to rob a house. That's not what they want. And then the reason for the 3 arresting officers, you are going to run into individuals in that riot that are not going to move. And they're going to taunt you, and they're going to try to fight you. You got a line of a dozen officers. They separate a couple feet. The 3 officers from the back run in. The reason you need 3 is sometimes you actually need 2 officers to get a guy down. Some of these guys are big and 1 officer is not going to do it. You need 2 officers to get the guy down in a position where the 3rd officer can handcuff him. He's immediately picked up, dragged between that opening. As soon as he dragged between that opening, the line closes, continues to march. That prisoner is put in the paddy wagon. Real quick and efficient. The other thing that does is it gives the crowd, wow, look how they got that guy so quick. I can't mess around. It's organized. In New York City, I was down there for the Occupy movement. They were totally unorganized. Every time they approached a crowd, it was chaos. You have to appear as you're in control. With that method, you're in control. The officers have to be well trained for that. And they have to know that they will be disciplined if they break out of that line and start going in the crowd by themselves and start hitting people. You're going to be disciplined. So it's got to be a well-trained operation, and it works. It's been proven across the country.
So one other question, protesters out here and let's say online, generally when something like this happens, we get the usual refrain of fuck the police, something like that. A generalization about the police officers, that all police officers are inherently bad, or that it's the police force itself that's causing the problems. What are your thoughts on that generalization, and why don't more officers arrest other officers or step up to the plate?
Sure. All right. Well, first, why don't officers arrest other officers? The reason is that officer is putting his welfare and perhaps his life in jeopardy. Or he can be putting his job in jeopardy. And here's the thing. We all have, mortgage payments to pay, families to feed. You don't want to end up living with a relative or, a homeless shelter, whatever. So an officer is going to be very, very hesitant to report another officer. And the bottom line is, this officer realized there's no reason I should report this guy because nothing's going to happen. The only thing that's going to happen is me. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get fired. I may get really brutalized by my own officers, threatened. So
how do we change that?
You have to have a police department that's held accountable by the community. You got to get people out of their homes with their air conditioning, watching their large screen TVs, watching their sport events. People don't want to deal with this. People don't want to deal with that police problem. If they're not victims of it, hey, no cop is bothering me when I'm watching this basketball game and having my beer. I don't care about it. That's the problem. Not enough. You don't have enough people to have a sense of moral justice. Like there's a lot of people here. These people here have a moral sense of justice, and unfortunately, there's not enough people to have that to get them out of their homes and hold police departments accountable. But the way you do that is you make sure your police department has a civilian review board. You've got to integrate civilians with the police department. If you don't, you have a good old boys club. And a good old boys club, they get away with anything. These civilians have got to be members, represent different sections of the community. And what they are, they become the eyes and ears for complaints against police. Every complaint that comes into the police department is handled by internal affairs has also got to be given to this civilian review board. And the results of the internal affairs investigation has to be given to the civilian review board. And if the civilian review board is not happy with the results, they have access right to the mayor. And the mayor has control over that police commissioner. He gets too many complaints, that police commissioner is out of there.
What do you think is going to happen if those type of changes aren't implemented? I mean, we're seeing some of that in Ferguson, but many people that I've talked to say this isn't just about Ferguson. This is about Houston. This is about LA. This is about New York.
No, it's not only about the major cities. It's about small. It's even worse in small rural towns. So you have this all over the country. There's 1,000.
He's right, it is worse in small rural towns. Alright, so thank you for watching. Yeah, I'm pretty incensed by that lady, how she was threatening people with arrest if they interviewed him. she was obviously working with the police, and a lot of people there were working with the police. They were just in, like, t-shirts. And there's some people who, I believe, were working with the police or federal agencies to cause trouble. And then there are other people who are trying to, like, be fascists. You know, saying who you can and cannot interview. That's ridiculous. That's awful. That's fascism. Okay, well, I know it was a short broadcast, only half hour. Um, but thank you for watching.